there, foul and fair, every secret, every odyssey. Answers unfold, one with the truth, the divine. By my guiding hand, perfect stand, I won't be denied. You are mine, you are blind, a fool till the end. Cast down for a more, I create, manipulate. You're kind in my image, my chosen ones. For you the time has come, the sun is setting. Say goodnight. With each bite does your sanity die, sucking the life out, letting the dark inside. Say a prayer as the light leaves your eyes. So scream all you like, your gods can't hear you. Say at night to the weakness that you hide behind, believing the lies, feeding the fear inside. Never once were you truly alive. So scream all you like, no one can hear you. Pride, greed, and not thrive. These seeds rotten and reaping the fruits of your wickedness divide. Come take a bite. Life may resist me no more. Twisted and broken, farewells left unspoken. Journey's end, as I ascend. Pandemonium. Here I rise, claim my prize. Every moment, every sacrifice. In an abyssios, I am the truth, the divine. By my guiding hand, perfected we stand. I won't be denied. You are mine, you are blind, a fool till the end. Cast down forevermore. I create, manipulate. You're kind in my image, my chosen ones. For you the time has come, the sun is setting. Say goodnight. With each bite does your sanity die, sucking the life out, letting the dark inside. Say a prayer as the light meets your eyes. So scream all you like, your gods can't hear you. Say at night to the weakness that you hide behind, believing the lies, feeding the fear inside. Never once were you truly alive. So scream all you like, no one can. Say goodnight. Say goodnight. Say goodnight. Chaos peace, savage nobles, country peace. Say goodnight. Living lies, follow me. Say goodnight. Single letters, follow me. Say goodnight. Follow me. Say goodnight.
Shrieks knife through the deep, natureless creatures perverted and evil. From foulness rise, a vermin tide. Teeth bared, clawing the air. Sing like to sing you, the rats do not fear you. In slaughter's king, the piper weeps. Just wax mark on your back. Here in the valley, your death casts no shadow. Sin's late comes from the gift. Lay bare and clean, red deep in the bones that feed the menagerie. Burns hot, burns brief, follow till there's nothing left but ash.
the shifting sea, the kiss of the salt sweet breeze, the white of her silken dress stained in red, her memory fading fast, her mother sits, eyes downcast, a torn uniform in hand, farewells unsaid, that once a certainty, lost in grief, a daughter's desperate cries, unheard pleas, forsaken, beaten, tried, on her knees, a prayer passes from her lips into her soul, the goddess whispers. A heartbeat without harmony is moonlight without dark. The heart seek of equilibrium. With balance will your worry part. So still this broken melody, and there will shoulder thee. One last step, only leaving an empty heart down by the sea. Empty heart down by the sea. Shintamani, 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 Shintamani. Legacy of the lack, a continent in flames, the shores of her homeland stained in red. A memory fading fast, her people's hope, eyes downcast, a shattered faith renewed in Goddess grace. We pray. Shintamani, 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 Shintamani. The late once a certainty, lost in grief, a people's desperate cries, unanswered pleas, forsaken, beaten, tried, on their knees, a prayer passes from their lips to their souls, the goddess whispers. A heartbeat without harmony is moonlight without dark. The heart seeking equilibrium, with balance will your word, while still is falling apart. So still this broken melody, and tell the shoulder beat, one last step only, an empty heart down by the drifting tender, comrade, heroes ride. Her gallant severed away with the tide. The storm head gathers, comrade, heroes ride. Illusions scattered away with the tide. Why do weathered warriors wander their way where the wanting wonders wait? Hark, the herald's anchors away. Here the happens mine escape. Freedom forgone, sinking abyss, comets crumble, Phoebus fades under cosmic clamor decay. Hides a path untaken. Ancient echoes come right, heroes ride. In deafening silence, away with tide. A wave of hazard, come right, heroes ride. All in and windward, away with the tide. Stellar stories, starward bestrewn, slipping sidewise, see their snakes. Twixt the leaves you'll find not a miss. Missing thoughts and crossing fades. Freedom surging, shifting ahead. Comets dancing in her way. To the cosmic clarions accord, along the path not taken. Dead, tread on the road that is borrowed design. Through the sun of their suns do they seek tomorrow? Tonight, witness them as the end shall begin. What was final their lives, floating back, further back, ever back to blood, to primal. Come ride, heroes ride, ride with the tide. Come ride, heroes ride, so far from home, away with the tide. Come ride, heroes ride, so far from home, away with the tide. Come ride, heroes ride, to my final escape. Come ride, heroes ride, ride with the tide. Come ride, heroes ride, so far from home, away with the tide. Come ride, heroes ride, so far from home, away with the tide. Come ride, heroes ride, to my final escape. Staring at death, I take a breath. There's nothing left. Now close my eyes for one last time and say goodbye. Lying naked while the snow falls all around me. Drifting closer to the edge, but she won't have me. Wake up and sweat, full of regret. Try to forget these memories lurking beneath, lost in a dream. Unchosen paths, a broken past, forspoken wrath. The pain will
Hello and good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. This is Lorelines, episode 135. Today we are going to be talking about live letter number 85. How is everybody doing today?
Hello.
I'm waiting for it to come.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Oh my
To
god!
us, at least. How are the sound issues?
Nothing went wrong. I did it.
Yet.
It took
you sure?
135 episodes.
It would have been extra funny if you just shut up and let Cop to believe that that no audio was coming from us.
That's what I was doing. I'm
Great
upset that
idea, Meow. Why
nobody
didn't
got
I do
into the
that?
bit.
Now, I will say, everyone's kind of low on Discord. Except for Ayumi,
Well-
who is apparently blown out.
That's a you thing.
Yeah, that's a me thing. You're probably right. I'll ignore it because everyone else seems to be totally fine and Ayumi is blown out. So I will leave it be. How is
guess.
everyone in chat today? On stream, they're fine. Okay, I won't worry about it then.
Okay.
Okay.
So how
We
has
have to say things while Cobb can't hear us.
last week we finished up our tier list for all of the patches and expansions for 14, and on Friday we had live letter 85, which was awesome. Who watched it?
I watched it all.
I was up for it. I did not take my usual notes because I was at work struggling. But
I usually get up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, maybe before, so I just turned it on and listened and watched the whole thing.
That's fair. I usually get home at 6 o'clock in the morning, so I was asleep. So,
I thought you had switched to a day schedule.
eventually.
Oh.
My schedule is changing, so I'm still not going to be able to do the Saturday morning streams. But I've been told that I am going to go to a day schedule sooner than later. This is just-
Eventually.
well, like in the next few months, because
Okay.
there's a situation on days where two people can't get along, and so
Ah.
they're like, well, instead of dealing with HR, we'll just move you there because I get along with everybody. So Zent glanced at it. I went through all the translation and the slides. I did not actually sit there and watch it. Remind me in 6 months. But yeah, how's everyone been? Meowth, we'll start with you.
I've been. I've started going through a rerun of Endwalker. I should have, but maybe I should have started with Shadowbringers because I've been bothering everyone with replay Shadowbringers 2024, which I actually didn't. I mean, I did, to be honest, but before Dawntrail release, I did replay Shadowbringers last year. For the umpteenth time. But I wanted to get into Endwalker because, one, I want to support my suspicions with solid points, and second, because there's many things from Endwalker that are very hazy on my mind, so I need to refresh the whole thing. And and on a more recent side, I spent yesterday and today working and drawing and yeah, I was stream was about to start. I was trying to decide which quote from Final Fantasy 15 I was going to use in this drawing.
So you know what I didn't hear in that mix of things was scripts.
There's a lot, yeah. I mean, but I have the outline of the scripts very much the side there. But that's the thing. For some things, I actually need the replay for Endwalker. So
Right.
So yeah.
No, that's fair. That's fair. That's great though. Yumi, how are you? We've missed you. Are you there? I guess not. Aeneas, how are you doing?
I am doing all right. Catching up on some personal projects this week. Some lore stuff that I'm launching soon that I hope you all will enjoy as
Okay,
well.
sorry, I'm back.
So, there he is.
Awesome.
But yeah, nothing I can talk about yet. But
Yep.
I hope y'all will enjoy it when I'm able to launch it because
That's
I'm
exciting.
excited. Hopefully, sometime next week.
Okay.
And
Is it-
alongside it is some
Is it Final Fantasy 11 related?
No, but I did have another FF11 thing that I was about to share, which is that I am making an updated version of my installation guide for 2025 with access for the old-ass launcher where you have to extract everything yourself. Because FF14 is basically trialing a discount subscription for FF11 if you have an active 14 account by the time that you sign up for the game. And I want to facilitate as many people as possible being able to install and try it and all that jazz. So that's what I'm working on. That should be up sometime in the upcoming week.
Nice.
Neat.
I like
Please
it.
play 11. This is my once per episode, please.
I tried 3 or 4 times.
I've tried
Well, you
twice,
couldn't get the
and I
install,
still
right?
enjoy it. Like, I think about it fondly.
No,
and
we
I'm
got
like,
through the install. My controller didn't work.
Oh, yeah.
I went
'cause
through all
it's-
of the steps that Arden put me through for the controller that they had, and no.
I really
I
love
can't help that.
how 11 needs basically a boss mechanics guide for installing, getting the game
That
started.
is literally the intro to my guide is the end of it is like, congrats, you've beaten the hardest boss of the game. Go for it. Have fun.
Like, play online itself, getting registered and all that, it does take a step by step. It's not terrible and all that. Once you get past that, it's dealing with the 20-year-old interface.
Yeah, the problem with it is that all of the guides are predicated on you like being familiar with old operating systems, which most people aren't. Either they've forgotten or like they weren't alive at the time that it was a thing.
Yes.
Because let's be honest, younger player base, right? So that's why I'm like, I wrote an updated one for 2023, and now I have an updated one for 2025 that should help people outside of North America. So,
You know, you make a good point about that because I remember installing games on DOS. So
oh my god.
I'm very familiar with all the old operating systems, so I didn't have really any trouble getting it running.
Right.
It just was remembering my password was the hard part.
But them's the breaks when, like, because I do a lot of documentation for old software as part of my job. So I am constantly aware of the fact that I am writing instructions where I would skip steps for myself because I know that I know how to run this
Battle
thing.
chest, yeah.
But if you don't know how to run that old stuff, then there's like a little bit more context that's necessary sometimes.
Yeah.
So
Battle Chess was amazing. I loved that game. I played it in school.
War games.
All right, so live letter. Well, no, we haven't talked to Yumi. Yumi, how's
Yeah,
your
'cause I was
pizza?
away.
What have you been
I
up
didn't
to
want
this
to burn
week?
my apartment down. So,
Week.
okay. Continue. How was my week?
Yes.
Oh, well, same as normal, I guess. I go to work, I come home, I play computer games, I go to sleep. The cycle repeats.
What did you think of what did everyone think of the live letter overall?
I liked it. There are things I want to talk about today that probably don't relate to anything story related, but they need to be said anyway, so I will comment.
yeah, this is a bit of, and I know a lot of people feel otherwise, this is kind of an empty patch for me content-wise because I am a raider. I don't really do a lot of crafting and gathering. So I'll probably be doing the cosmic exploration for the story and then stopping. Because I am afraid this is going to turn into another Ishgardian restoration situation.
Oh, it absolutely is. And so this is generally going to be my patch because I am a crafter and gatherer. So I have my Saint title. I did all of Ishgard restoration. I documented every single phase of Ishgard restoration because I'm insane. But I'm definitely going to be on the front line of cosmic exploration. Fortunately, I don't have to
Godspeed,
document
soldier.
it all since it's individualized as well as community based. But we'll talk about that. There's a lot to talk about cosmic exploration.
Also, lots more little just FF9 treats.
Oh yeah.
That I am slightly
Well-
concerned it's going to turn into another situation where Endwalker patch content was just FF4 without too much flavor, but I like FF9,
yeah.
so at least it'll look cool. Makes me happy.
So I'm
I
gonna
don't
start
want them to
putting
do
this
the
on.
same thing that they did with the Endwalker patch content.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
I mean, we can dig into that because it's MSQ trials instead of a trial series again.
If they want to keep it to a trial series or whatever, okay. But if they start with the MSQ and keep it a part of the MSQ, no.
Yeah,
no,
and
no.
from what I understand, it is part of the MSQ.
Yeah, they've told us that it is MSQ trials again.
Yep.
That was one of the things they shared, which I would have had less issue with the trials in Endwalker if they had been a trial series, because I think the pacing would have been a lot better.
I agree.
The pacing was the biggest issue with that. So if they pace this correctly, it has the chance to be great. But I'll miss kind of the trials side stories because they're typically very, very good.
Agreed.
Okay,
But I know
patch
they're
art,
focusing
let's go
side
into
stuff.
it.
Yes, so we have the patch art. 7.2, Seekers of Eternity. I really like this patch art. I think it's really cool.
Meowth is gonna go off, so let me make a few comments here before Meowth goes into a rant. So we got this Persona-looking figure at the top.
Yeah.
Persona antagonist.
That's Lightning Kid, I call him.
Oh yeah, okay. Then we've got Sphene, which we don't know who is the real Sphene just yet. The one I'm curious about is the one behind Meteor, the one beside Meteor. They aren't showing. One isn't showing the face, the other one is, but it's covered by goggles.
Yeah, Jubilee.
Yes. And then above Sphene, we have a person in armor.
Yep.
And then below everyone else, I believe the one on the bottom left would be the armored Beatrix, maybe, or something else. And then to the right of that is some area. And then another area to the left of Wilmot.
I like the big dinosaur in the top right.
Is very pretty.
It is. But yeah, Meowth, you are unleashed.
God, it's
Meowth.
a dinosaur. Fuck.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Jesus
I'm sitting down.
Christ. The first thing I mean, the patch name is something that I think all of us had kind of inferred from 7.0 already, when they started going to the endless and preservation and all that. It was not just it's something about it's the theme about eternity and preserving life, a form of existence that doesn't it's a form of existence that doesn't face death. Though this is complicated. This can turn into a bit of like a philosophical discourse. But anyways, the eternity. That's the thing, and the other thing that immediately caught my eye is the color scheme. The light blue and the pink. Because that's exactly the color scheme associated with Ultima. Both in the evolution rates when she's charging the attack in the intermission phase, with Athena, the arena of P12, not P12S, but P12 on its own. That's the same color scheme, the light blue and the pink. That's the point there. And there's another thing when it comes to the structure and composition of this patch, which it made the whole composition theme concept of it makes me think so much of the patch art for 5.4 Futures Are Written.
Really?
Do you remember the patch art?
I do.
I do
with
too,
the
yeah, because
different
they're only showing part of
fragments
it.
of glass with showing different memories.
It is very fractured because it's set up the way that you would typically see, like, you know, the hacking sequence in movies that's like, oh, we're seeing everything at once. Here's 8 screens. it is very much that kind of energy.
Yeah.
At the same time, you see how is it structured? It's in a spiral.
Yep.
It's just
So-
falling, yeah.
Yes, it's
But
spiral.
the composition is really, really interesting when it comes to with this sort of shapes, colors, choices, and all that symbolize. Of course, I don't know
One could
exactly.
one could also comment that it might be a helix,
Could be.
That's it.
But it's still a
You're
spiral.
not
blue
making it
and red.
I also just want to point out that it's mirroring the like advertisement structure of all of like the moving billboards in Solution 9.
Mm-hmm.
Because they do just kind of rotate in a column. It's very much the architectural choice for the area.
Yeah.
Don't trust
I'm
those
excited
moving
because
cameras.
this heavily implies that we're going to get a lot more information about preservation.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of, have you seen those moving cameras just following you around in
Yes.
Solution
Yeah.
9?
Yes.
Gee,
It's
I
a good
wonder who's
bit.
on the other side.
You go to Solution 9, you're wandering around, you look off, they're off, they're either above you or off to the area that you can't exactly fly around in or walk over towards, so often towards the central area. There are cameras aimed directly at you, flying around.
I love it.
They do the same thing in the raids.
I love how like nobody's questioned it. Like we toppled quote unquote the leadership structure, and somehow everything just continued to operate.
There's
There's a lot of different
cameras.
systems.
There's a lot of There's a lot of
And-
moving cameras around Solution 9. Yeah.
Yeah, and I
And
know
it's
that.
also... Sorry, go ahead.
No, I know Galulja didn't walk in and immediately say, "I know how to run everything." So someone's running this stuff here.
And that's part of the MSQ intrigue that we've got, because we've got like a false Sveen kind of running around. So there's clearly like a backup system in place, and there's a chance that it's like this emotionless, like dummy AI, to use Halo terms, I guess. That is the cause of it. But it
feel
could
like-
also be something else. Either way, there is definitely something malicious afoot, which is the
Oh.
cliffhanger. God.
I feel like
No, of
watching so
course.
many like sci-fi stuff, and Cobb will probably agree with me on this. Solution 9 is self-sufficient, where it probably has the original Sphene kind of locked away. Preservation has locked her away, and then from there has just created multiple blueprints so that if the administration falls, another one is just immediately booted up, and so it's self-perpetuating that Sphene will always be at the top and always be ready to take the throne in case one dies.
Yep.
I love the implication that it's like a Stargate replicator society.
Yeah,
Like, you
pretty
can't
much.
get rid of it because there's a computer involved.
Even if it wants to die, it can't.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
not
But yeah,
allowed.
you would
but-
have to dismantle the entire system, not just the administration, but the system behind it. You have to.
Yeah.
And that's part of what like the story of Arcadian is trying to topple, because the plot of that is the more you fight in this, the more reputation you get to kind of get rid of the remaining soul stores.
So I'm gonna start cycling
Yeah.
through some of the MSQ screenshots.
I was just going to
Yeah.
say about the cameras and all the stuff. The first thing that was like in my mind was like, Big Brother is watching you.
I didn't want to relate to that, but you know.
I mean, if if you haven't read 1984, do it.
Yeah. So, Ishtola and Wuklamat on their own. Okay. What interests me about this is the background.
Yeah.
So, probably somewhere inside Solution 9, but this doesn't look like the Electrope that we've seen.
Nope.
It's also not recognizable architecture
Mm-hmm.
for the region.
Right.
Once we get through the MSQ, I want to talk about something in particular.
Yeah.
I think you know.
Reminds me of some style, of some art style, but right now I'm like, if without having the full picture, I wouldn't be able to tell you which art styles remind me of.
It's
It's
this is something you would see more in modern, like in our context, modern architecture
Yep.
versus the like hyper futuristic Solution 9 architecture. So it speaks to kind of like a little bit of a middle ground.
Yeah, you've got a lot of brushed steel and brass here, which is very
Yeah.
contemporary. So
Or it could just
just-
be that like we're in Sved's like personal chambers and this is just how it's decorated because the color scheme is reminiscent of regions from FF9. So that is a possibility, especially since we saw the Alexandria dungeon.
And at the same time, it's kind of giving me a bit of vibe of, like, not exactly, but the first impression was like, that still reminds me of like the architecture style of the Gestalt movement in Germany, but no, I wouldn't say it's exactly the same. It's just like the first impression. But
Yeah. Okay. Well, moving on to the Catman and Krill. Now this does remind me a bit more of Solution 9.
Yeah, this is very Solution
This
9.
That's more
I think
Solution 9.
is the back of the bar is what this reminds me of.
the
Yeah.
bathroom,
Yeah.
I would
And
say,
it
yeah.
matches the lighting of the area too, because it has that harsher, colder lighting
Yep.
versus the previous screenshot being on the warmer side.
Right.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of blues and pinks in the main area. And this is just very sterile. So yeah, not a whole lot to say here. Our favorite person talking to Sphene. It's very familiar mannerisms. Whispering in the ear, probably saying something very Asahi-like. This like
Yeah,
remi-
the
this
squishy
just-
guys.
reeks of
She
Asahi.
remi- that also reminds me a bit of Athena, to be honest.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
the same animation rig that they use whenever there's that sort of situation.
Mm-hmm.
But it does, like, it is usually the same kind of vibe that we're having from the NPC when they use that facial animation rig.
Yeah.
So, I look forward to whatever cursed shit that she's saying Wooklamont here.
I want like some weird like you're bending in a way that people don't bend in, kind of like Athena did, and that we wanted Asahi to do.
I mean, I would
This
love
is-
another Asahi situation, but this time with lesbians, I'll be entirely honest.
Yeah.
I'm okay
Toxic
with
Yuri. Good thing that
Yeah.
Wooklamont isn't Lalafell. We don't have that bending down of Asahi.
So this is probably the most interesting screenshot we got from the live letter as far as MSQ
Yeah.
goes.
Right.
that. Speaking of Asahi, I
Yeah.
got the same, like, Cop knows this. When I get a specific sensation, I know things. I got that tingle during this. I'm like,
Yeah.
I
So-
The
understand.
scientist
I-
with like the second gen iPad.
Yeah, who
Yeah.
has like a combination of Asahi and Owlus vibes. I'm like, this feels like mildly intentional. I would love for there to be a shard of Asahi that is a mad scientist.
That would be
But
amazing.
that's me having wishful thinking because I miss him and nobody respected him.
Because he's already a librarian on the first.
Right, yeah. So,
But
I know what I want.
I do want to let Meowth have a go because I know Meowth probably has a lot to say about what's going on
Yes,
in this.
go ahead.
Go forth.
Well, yeah, because as Ellie's saying in the chat, 3 out of the 4 glyphs or patterns, arcanima from Malo Island, are in the middle screen. They're analyzing these patterns, and it's particularly the one. So you see the middle screen, right? The one left down.
Yep.
The one that's like in a shape of an eye.
Yeah.
That's aside from the eye being having the ultimate connotations. That particular shape is one that I know a lot because that's so intrinsically associated with
Yep.
Etrus Gate
Yep.
in Final Fantasy XIII.
That's exactly why I wanted you to talk about it.
So it's like if this is like showing their process of opening gates, and I assume that they would be studying the Milala's Arcanima patterns, which I mean we could go into how exactly the Milala knew these patterns, and that would lead us to a entirely different kind of worms regarding the Grail, or rather the Orsite in the Grail, but if this is showing us how they started to study, or rather how preservation started to study opening space-time rifts, then they're using definitely the Milala's knowledge for it.
And it's
Yeah.
worth noting that we were explicitly told to carefully review the Alo Alo stuff, which implies not just like do it because it got mentioned in MSQ, but like, hey, really pay attention to it.
Right.
And I would wager that this is correct because it has to do with essentially I kept saying it. My English is bad today. Essentially kind of creating a guardian of sorts, variations of which we have seen mechanically in the MSQ. Most notably at the end of the Alexandria dungeon.
So I thank you for thinking of me when you saw the waves and graphs, because I eat that shit up. Especially in contexts like this where they are pretty much taking readings of everything. So from the top left where we have the planet that they're pretty much scanning, I guess, for lack of a better word, to the bottom right screen where we have not only chemical compositions, but sound waves and what looks like an energy spectrograph. So there's a lot they're analyzing here, and I really, really like that they're taking so many approaches with this. I don't know what the big cube is, but all of the symbols that we see blown up in the middle screen are overlaid on top of each other except for the cube, which tells me, because we have two screens with the cube open, this is something that is kind of the missing piece to this puzzle, or they think it is at least. The top right symbol really reminds me of phases of the moon, but going around a central point. So it might be phases of a planet, I'm not, as it rotates around the sun. And then, of course, the eye of Etro's gate in the bottom left, which I saw that and I immediately thought of Meowth in 13. And I was like, I saw that and I was like, no way. This is going to be very, very interesting. They're going all in on the 13 references. And yeah, the cube is absolutely an electrope construct. There's no doubt about that. The top left symbol, though, that's the one that kind of, I guess, not confuses me, but intrigues me as far as, what is that? So that's kind of my take on this. There's a lot of different information that I really hope that they'll dive into. Like, what kind of chemicals are they looking at? It's a pretty complex molecule chain. We were talking about sound and in the last dungeon that we did with the Monty Python rabbit. So, all of this put together, what does that do? So I really hope this is like dissecting the effects of the key and trying to recreate it without the key. That would be really cool.
Can I propose an alternative solution to this? Because
Yes.
You've correctly pointed out that this is electrope that they're looking at. That's probably some sort of chemical composition for electrope that we are seeing. I would also like to put in the reminder that corruption of the soul is also called noise in certain contexts when you're looking at physics.
Okay. So this could even be
That
something
is-
about soul degradation.
Right. That, but also the way that they have layered these cube things are also the way that you layer the casting of abilities when you are on a book job, either scholar or summoner. It's not the exact same glyph that we're looking at, but the way the layers have been broken apart, it is the way that the layers break apart the books. Now, this could mean nothing because they have to reuse assets where they can, right? So it could just be, hey, this is what it is. But a lot of those jobs also deal with fucked up soul stuff. which is kind of what we are seeing that Electrope can do to a person.
Not
So-
only that, but we've established in game that Arcanima is on this shard from the source. So a lot of the same imagery that we see related to that would be here as well.
Exactly. So
love
just a couple of additional connections.
I would argue that that Electrope does not affect the soul that much. It's like, but we will have to go into Arcadian to learn what's exactly the
Well,
the
we
deal
know
with-
this. We know this for certain already, because of some of the MSQ stuff in Dawn Trail, but also like the Arcadian quests kind of expand upon it, because the whole idea of Electrope is that it facilitates it. It acts as a conductor, essentially. Because we know that it can be used for different elements. We know that it can be used for etheric
Right.
transfer and manipulation. The soul is part of that. That's why taking on many souls at once, or like an animal soul that does not belong to you,
Right.
kind of creates that graft.
Right.
And Zent said, building on Aeneas's comment, this could represent how the soul is broken down into its constituent components. If they do that, if we get like a 2.2 or Shadowbringer style breakdown of this is how the soul is built, my head would explode, because I
Right.
would love a new lore dump like that explaining what the mechanics of the soul are, because that's going to give you a lot of what the other two are as well.
And to Zent's additional comment, it's not Electrope that affects us, it's the energy that runs through it. This is the only thing that we know that actually conducts this, other than like a specific kind of crystalline structure, which I feel like we've established pretty well as far as Loreline goes, is like slightly beyond us, because that's the Ultima Association, right?
Yep.
To do it artificially, you have to break down Electrope to understand why that happens, and understanding why that happens would give us what we're talking about, which would be the like constituent
Yeah.
components of
Like-
souls, but also a greater understanding of the process itself.
Like, I guess what I want from this scene here is I want like his name began with an O. He was an Allegan and talked about tempering. I want that, but
Owen.
for the soul.
Owen.
Yeah. Owen. Thank you. Yeah, I want Owen's Tower's explanation for the soul from not Asahi right here. Not
No,
Sahi.
not No, I don't like that. That gets too close to a different word.
You're right.
Anti-Asahi, or
Yeah.
Asahi but friendly.
Okay. Yeah, I think it would be hilarious if the only bad Asahi was the one on the source, and all the other ones are very helpful
All
and
of the other
friendly on
ones
every
are like
shard.
very, very nice people.
Yeah. they're like Hermes, and we got the Fan Daniel.
That's actually incredibly funny. I love the idea of like this person turning around and it like very clearly just being Asahi with a different hair color, and nobody trusting him because he's just so nice. Surely it must be a lie, because that was how Asahi was introduced to, right? He's so polite, he just wants to see his sister, and we're all on edge waiting for the pin to drop, and it just never does.
And
That would be a good bit.
and then Naisahi. There we go.
There we go. Perfect. Naisahi.
See,
I was going to say,
what you
I was going to
described.
say anyway.
What you described about like his character arc was the exact character arc I had with Harshaphon, and then he died for me. And I was like, oh, I was waiting for you to betray me. Oops.
But
Anyway.
yeah, I was going to say anyways that if they actually go into the discussion of what of the different parts of a soul, of the unseen aspect of someone's self, that's I don't know how it is in 14, but we do know that most of the metaphysics of 14 come from 13. So if they go into the separate parts of what makes a soul, and they somehow, if it's somehow any related to 13, then I'm going to lose my.
I just had a thought, and this is very much on the same wavelength as that. Is in 13, so Etro's Gate was an actual thing up in the sky that could be opened. And I got to thinking just now, they said when Xenos died in Ultima Thule that his soul returned to the life stream on Aetheris, but it's on the other side of the freaking universe. But how did it know where to go? And because I see basically Etro's gate here, what if instead of actually being a physical construct, the gate is inside each soul?
It's a concept that returns it.
Yeah. And so when someone dies, the gate opens and the soul returns to where it's supposed to go. But here in Alexandria, they found a way to keep it closed by recycling it.
And that also... No, that's a good thought. And that also brings up kind of the conversation that I know you and I have had a whole bunch, which is how we liken the ether physics of 14 to astrophysics, because that's kind of the way that you have to study it. We've established that ether is thermodynamics.
Yep.
Dynamis is dark matter. There's also antimatter, which is what I call the Ultima reaction.
Ooh,
that can only be studied in the context of identifying everything else and finding the missing component.
Yep.
Like, it's like looking at a black hole. You can't see it, you have to see around it, and therefore you know that it exists. That's kind of the way that you handle that.
Yeah, you see a black hole by seeing what's not there.
Right, so it would make sense that if this is what we are actually looking at, that in order to study the thing itself, because if you're using souls for fuel, you have to have some sort of understanding of it, right? That you have to look for the shape where something is supposed to be around everything that you actually understand, because the shape of what's left is the missing component.
Correct. What if we're not on the edge of the universe? So the edge of the universe is kind of a misnomer in this game, because if you look at the skybox in Ultima Thule, there's stars everywhere, which tells me that space in 14 is curved. They probably didn't even think about this, but that's what would happen if space were curved. You would just wind up on the other edge, and it's just a big
flat Eorzea.
Yeah, flat Eorzea.
Flat Eorzea is real, and it can hurt you.
Eorzea is flat. It's space that's curved.
That reminds me, keep going, but I have something to share with you, because I have a revelation.
Okay. Okay.
No, I have to find a screenshot. Keep going.
Okay. So that's pretty much all I've got for this slide. But like I said, this is the most interesting slide. And thinking about soul mechanics in the top left, they could even just be looking at the soul. It doesn't necessarily have to be the world. It could just be diving into the research of the soul, which I really hope so. I really hope that's the case. Unless this universe is either very young or very, very small. I would go with small, honestly. The universe is at least 12,000 years old. We know that.
I have posted the thing.
All right, let me take a look. My keyboard will wake up. Oh.
Mm-hmm. I killed Cobb.
Oh, okay.
I think I killed Cobb.
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
I don't have a point to this because I'm finishing up like this part of the game literally tomorrow.
Right.
But I just want to put it out there that this thing has existed for a while.
Yeah.
Okay. Share. Give me.
It's in live chat.
Oh, I was waiting like an idiot.
No, it's in live chat, gamers. Yeah, it's there is a universe in which there was a big bang after the end of 11 that reset everything, and the point where that happens is just Ultima Thule. Like I looked up like the star alignments in the region, and shit matches up to an eerie degree.
Yeah, that happened in another game, and then Lightning became a Louis Vuitton model.
Yeah, I don't have like a conclusion to this yet. I just have information to share.
Okay.
But Ultima Thule just continues to fuck with me for that reason. So I'm putting a pin on like me commenting on anything Ultima Thule related until I could get through literally the rest of the 11 story content.
Okay.
After that specific, because
Got it.
Right.
there is a lot there.
So, what I'm getting from this, without wanting this to derail into another speculation
I won't let it,
at
yeah.
all, what I'm getting from this, that Ultima Thule is not the edge of the universe, but maybe a space in the Walk of Echoes itself.
Well, less that, but more like the edge of the universe is also a metaphorical thing. It's not just a literal thing. It means
Right.
the end of the universe, right? Because that is where we face the end singer. It's not like the literal edge, it's also the metaphorical, hey, this is the end. Either you do this or the universe ceases to exist, right? There's an end point to it.
Right.
So
Right.
that is the reading that I am currently taking on it, because there is no real thing as the edge of the universe. That's not
So-
how science works.
So
Yeah.
the end of the universe was also the beginning of the universe, because if that was the end of Vanadil, that was the beginning of Atheris, something like that.
That is a reading of it. What I'm saying more is, like, if we're taking a parallel to it,
Yeah.
there is, like, we experience the Big Bang, right? Like, that's how our physical, like, real life physics,
Yeah.
we came into existence because of the Big Bang. The entire universe came into existence because of the Big Bang. And eventually it will expand and contract and snap again, because that's how science works. The
Right.
same can be true here. And I'm not saying that, like, Vanadil became 14, but I am saying the same events, like, could occur, because if it's, like, a grounding fact that reality exists because of the Big Bang, the end of the universe, the edge of the universe in Ultima Thule doesn't have to be, like, a physical edge. It could just be, hey, Big Bang time. See you later.
I'm not. Okay, I'm not going to mention line returns here, because if I do that,
Nope.
I know, yeah.
that's going to
Yeah,
that's going to spiral really easily.
Right, this was just my roundabout way of being, like, complete derailment of Ultima Thule. But while we were on the topic, it was worth mentioning.
I would only say in
We got a
this,
lot to
it's
go
this
through.
is again 13 and 11 just shaking hands.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it's a common
the
theme in every Final Fantasy game. It's just we have, like, a visual to compare it to here. Yeah, we could keep talking about patch content. I know that was a derailment, but I was like, oh, I have new insight to Ultima Thule. A little treat.
All right. Moving on.
Okay, so this is where I come in, actually. There was a little talk that Yoshida had and Foxconn had on stream about an event that happened recently. And those that use a specific and certain program might be familiar with. They mentioned that there was recently discovered a tool that was accessing account IDs, and he made a comment on the lodestone. He wanted to address it on the stream as well. There was a tool called Player Scope that was gathering information about account IDs and collected them and matched them against other alt characters on that user account. He confirmed that the information did not go well beyond that and that no personal information was accessed. The length to which that could have gone was extensive and even reached as far as people's credit card information. So
Yikes.
they obviously did not want to have this floating around and accessing private information that obviously would have ruined their game outright in the span of 24, 48 hours. To get to the conclusion, we, the dev team, are not ignoring this. They can't say how far they're going, but in 7.2, they are creating countermeasures to combat this. So beginning in the next patch, those of you who are using plugins still will begin to see changes in the main game. So I'm not saying you stop or start, but you need to be aware that using third-party tools is against TOS. Always and forevermore will be.
Mhm.
They got a lot of feedback to add every character to a blacklist if you don't like them or don't want to hear from them. That it's the best approach that they could implement at that moment. But there were stalker issues that were made aware of, and as part of the measures, we took that against to that was to implement the new blacklist system to have every character under an account on that blacklist. But unfortunately, the tool got around that and used that to its advantage to gain more information about the users and their characters, since it went from blacklist one person, you blacklist every person on the account. So it just kind of jumped onto that umbrella. He's disappointed that the tool exists, but he'll be improving the system as it goes forward. He says he might give the impression that you shouldn't care if you were aware of this, but let me rephrase, I don't want you to worry, we're taking steps. Sorry to scare people.
No.
But they're going to be deploying countermeasures in 7.2. Be aware.
A chilling vision of things to come.
No,
Yes.
it's something kind of necessary because, like,
Yeah, it is.
and personally, like, both as a raider, plugins fucking suck for people trying to do content legitimately, but also, like, I have been harassed and stalked in game, and I don't use third-party tools, but, like, for context, there is legal action being taken against the creator of this plugin at this
Yeah.
point in time.
Yes.
So, like, none of your actual personal data was accessed from this, which is the thing that they stress not to worry about.
yes.
But because... how do I phrase this? So, they have to enforce their TOS in order to maintain IP ownership, basically. So there's some stuff that they can, you know, kind of ignore, like cosmetic stuff. But when something becomes a threat, they actually have to crack down on everything, or they themselves would be violating TOS instead of just the players.
Yep.
So, again, just can't endorse plugin use. That was also how they ended the statement. I believe they're like, please no third-party plugins. Anyway, here's MSQ.
Yeah. Anyway, here's MSQ.
Yeah. So, appreciate you bringing it up, Ayumi. It was worth mentioning.
It's something that needs mentioned, especially to. I mean, we're LoreLines. We do talk about lore and stuff, but first and foremost, we are 14 players. We do love the game, and it's because we love the game so much that we are able to talk on this show and have this show.
Yeah.
So.
And stay safe. Just in general, stay safe.
Yeah. But I'm glad.
All right, going back.
Yes, so we have the Mamulja Allied Society quest. This is, I believe, the Gatherer one.
Yes, that's
I
correct.
think, yeah. Something that I'll do. I'm a gatherer.
Yeah. So, very excited because I remember the Gathering Wachumeki Meki quest was very interesting. So I'm really hoping that they kind of expand
I
on
did
that a
that,
little
and
bit.
I went straight into Cobb's DMs and was like, look at this. Look
Yeah.
at this.
So very, very excited about this. And I still have to finish the Pillow Pillow. I have not yet.
Yoshida says, I hope you all can distinguish these races visually by now.
Yeah, we got the Hubigo and the other ones.
Bunawa.
The Dopro.
All right. New
We
character.
don't know much about this there other than we're here.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, not a whole lot to talk about yet, but hoping it'll be interesting.
Just a few screenshots is all.
This
Yeah.
reminds me of a
Charlene?
Charlene researcher.
Yeah, he did mention, didn't Koana mention that they were going to be introducing certain vegetation that can grow?
Mm-hmm.
So this may be the first researcher that arrived that will help them in their crop study.
Yeah, if you
I like
see
the coat she's wearing.
well the coat, and if you see the chain pattern that runs across the breast of the coat between the lapels, that is very Charlene.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
That's the best idea they could have. They could have had. Get Charlene in
I think
here.
they mentioned those like what, bananas or something like that. I don't know. I don't know the name of the fruit or vegetable, but yeah, they did say that Kawana did promise that he would get a Charlian researcher out there to help with the food shortage.
Mm-hmm.
I like
Here
that
they
they're
are.
following up on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't say I'm thrilled by having Charlene getting here.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
okay.
also like not a fan of, oh, let's take these college people from a different country into this region to teach them how to do things. I'm not a huge fan of that kind of storyline.
Yeah.
So I hope that they
Just
treat it with a
distribute
certain
meal.
Yeah, I hope
yeah.
they treat it with a certain amount of grace, especially because Kona's whole story through the MSQ was figuring out, hey, this isn't the solution to things and you're making it worse. So
Agreed. I really hope it's kind of a, hey, I'm here to learn and research based on what I know and based on what I've learned from you. Here's something new we can try.
right.
That's
Because
I
that would be
think-
a fun story.
Yeah, that would be
And a
good.
cultural exchange, because they've done that pretty successfully in other Allied Society
Mhm.
quests. So that's always a possibility, and I hope that's the route they take, because I love the Mamulcha, and I'm excited to learn more about what they did with them in 14.
Agreed.
I like it just because I'm not. It's the idea there is probably not to like introduce it in a way that we're gonna push our influence onto them, but more
Yeah.
like just here's a new crop, here's a new way to live. We're gonna begin your new way to live that won't make it feel like you're being oppressed again.
Yeah, an exchange.
Mhm.
Yes.
All right.
You guys are much more benevolent regards to Charlene than I am. That's okay. That's
Right,
all-
well,
that's
I'm
all
giving
right.
them-
That's why
Yeah,
I'm
we know
having
your
this
stance on that.
conversation, is because I have this opinion of Charlian in general, and I hope that they, like, both for the sake of the game and also for the sake of, like, moving the story forward, because it's boring to have stagnancy in
Mhm.
organizations in story points, that they, like, make an improvement, which is what
Agreed.
my request was.
Yes.
I
More
know you
Hildy.
have
Oh.
speculation, Meowth, but I'm going off of what we actually know at the moment, so...
It's all right. That's perfectly fine. I never said anything about. I don't. My intention is not to drag anyone. I have enough with my own dragging, dragging myself down the pit. But anyways, Hildebrand.
Yes. More Hildebrand. He's looking dapper, more dapper than ever. I love the hat and shades. He
Well,
has
this
indeed-
one, this
He's
one
joined the
would
Blues
be
Brothers.
hardy boiled, but
Yeah. He's joined the Blues
Yeah,
Brothers
no,
here.
the quest line is so freaking funny this time.
Much love. So I feel like I can't even talk about Hildebrand because I've always called it the real MSQ. It's like, this is what's actually going on.
Zent, you are 100% on the spot. It's noir themed.
100%.
It's so good.
All right. Yeah. Case in point. New Corn Servant. This is 100% the Serpent of Ronka for Dawn Trail.
Oh my god.
Like, it's not
What
going
a-
away.
Sentence.
I mean, considering the implications we got about the Serpent of Ronka possible identity,
Mhm.
this is also so interesting.
Yeah.
They said that they have seen a lot of artwork on social media of the Corn Servant, and the dev team really loves it. So they are watching.
Yeah, they just liked the Corn Servant. It was something funny that they put in, and they were like, oh, the community loves it. Let's do more of it.
Yeah. Behold, more corn. It's not different at all, is it, Steve? Sorry, I had to. Corn Hub. All
No.
Shut up.
right, moving on. So we're getting Tomestones of Mathematics. So those of you
Good
who
luck,
can't
Raiders.
add, those of you who cannot add, good luck.
They'll ask you for prime numbers whenever you want to trade them in. If your answer is incorrect, I'll
That's
also
right.
be
You have
gone.
5 seconds to respond. More PvP stuff. Series 8. It was Series 7 before they updated the slide. But Secura is coming back. I'm kind of excited to see what they did with it. Because Seal Rock is kind of an important location lore-wise.
That's Cardinal.
They're also adding duty support to the Sunken Temple of Karn.
They are.
I love
That's
that they giggle every time they have an ARR dungeon on, like, a later patch thing when they talk about the duty support, because they're like, wow, I can't believe we're talking about updates to Karn in 2025. They giggled about it last time, too. I think they're going to keep giggling about it. I think it brings them a lot of joy.
Yeah.
But going back to the PvP, what about that map?
This map?
How about that Alligans? How about those Alligans?
Yep.
Well, they're reusing
Again.
assets from Bahamut because of the setting that they're using it for, so it's...
Alligans.
Yeah, it's
I
just the set pieces for the region so that they make the PvP more functional. I'm not a PvP person. I didn't have an issue with the map before, but I also don't play nearly enough to have that kind of opinion.
Flats had them too.
Yeah.
So, it's there.
It's there.
Yep. This is cool. I like this. It just looks cool.
They're really showing off the updated crystal texture that has a little bit of a glow to it. I think they're highlighting that because that is kind of what the region looked like before. You just didn't really think about the crystals because it was flat, pale
now
texture.
You can see it.
Yeah.
And this looks awesome. I love the little... I call them bouncers, the little Alligan bouncers. You pick a direction and you fly.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the thing in the middle from Frontline, Borderland. Yeah, it does look like the old Cardinal map.
Is PvP.
Yep. The new dungeon, the Underkeep. This I'm stupidly excited for.
It's...
Oh, look, it's the set piece from Final Fantasy IX.
Yeah, it's pretty much FF9, everything that we've seen from in here. I'm curious where they're putting it on the map, because it looks like this is underneath the Everkeep, and the name does kind of give the implication of it.
Yep, agreed.
If you remember, because when we went into Alexandria, we went into that, like, kind of escape or whatever that kind of went through what previously happened, and you saw at the end they were building around old Alexandria.
Exactly. So now we get to see it for real.
It's kind of like the twinning, where it's you went above, now you go below. What's below the Crystal Tower?
It's most important to bear in mind that what we see in the dungeon doesn't necessarily have to be what really happened. Especially the last part, because that's the most corrupted one. That's the one in which the Eliminator is placed as the last boss of the dungeon. So if we're going here to potentially learn what truly happened, that's much more interesting. It's like, and in conceptually, it's like this thing, like the truth here, like of what happened, the real thing,
It'd be the epilogue, not just like
it's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the memory corruption, like, it's clear when it cuts out and cuts in. Something I do want to point out here is the damage to the building. Because it is interesting that the damage has almost, like, purple scorch marks to it. Like, they're building Electrobe into it, or this could have to do with the general, like, lightning weaponry in the area beforehand. So I'm curious how the building got this kind of scarring, like the specific mechanics of it, because clearly we know what happened as a result of the conflict, right? But I'm like, the scientist in me is like, okay, now what are the details of this?
Yeah, I want to know how this got this way. And
was the fact that it's pretty much buried.
And I think it's entirely probable that there was a keep before the Everkeep that we see that is underneath it, and they just kept building on top of it.
Keep, Everkeep, Underkeep, Middle Keep.
First keep.
First keep. It's like a York and New York, New York. It's like ever underkeep.
Right. So I'm really looking forward to this dungeon. I think it'll be really illuminating.
Shut up.
Oh my god.
Here we have the inside. We have a lot of storage crates. I believe they said it used to be a dance hall.
Well, yeah, because it's the palace from Final Fantasy IX. Woo!
Yeah, this is where we just kind of know what things are. They're showing off that they recreated like the first quote unquote dungeon in 9 in 14.
Ah. Okay. And I'm
Go play
really
9.
excited to see all of
Go
the
play
old
9,
pictures, which are probably just images from Alexandria the dungeon.
Yeah, like this specific one you can match up to a hallway that you go back and forth in so many times in the start of the game and also the late game. The backgrounds in FF9 are like that oil painting style where
Right.
you move around on a flat PNG that they have like mapped a route to.
Mm-hmm.
This hallway specifically is incredibly iconic. This is the original palace at Alexandria when you're
Okay.
running through trying to kidnap/rescue the princess at any given point in time because that's the only thing you do in this hallway.
Amazing.
In fact, I think if I was going to point out that the angle they shot this, they took this shot. I think it's like exactly how the map it looks like in,
Yeah,
in
that's-
9.
Yeah, that's what I was mentioning. Like, this is one for one what this part of the dungeon in 9 looks like.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Also looking at the decoration, and I don't like that I'm seeing so many things that remind me of Charlotte decoration, but okay.
Well, so those portraits too, they are also like scaled up images of other like backgrounds in the township of Alexandria in FF9. So the one in the left, the vertical one, that's very, very like prominent. That is one of the first regions that you're in. I believe that's the one where you have the jump rope quest. That's a pain in the ass, is that town square. And
Yes.
like you can see the like in the middle, the tall vertical one. That's one of the scenes from The Great Hunt. So these are like all places in FF9 that you see. Yep.
Right.
Sweet.
So
But
that's a fun little like really cute Easter egg because there were things hanging on the halls in the oil painting in FF9, but you don't really pay that much attention to it. So when you have a game with like clearer graphics, I don't want to say better because FF9 style holds up. That's the point of a good art style in an older game, right? But like when you can see the details a little bit more clear, I'm glad that they chose to make it this like painterly Easter egg. I think it's very, very cute.
I really like the juxtaposition of the old world style, you know, the carpet, the paintings. Meanwhile, you've got the electrope lighting, the electrope chandelier, and on the walls.
Yeah.
I think it's just very interesting.
It's
Where it
fun. You
shows.
can see what they used electrope for before, which is
Yeah.
what we use electricity for, right?
Yeah, it
Just
reminds me
general
of
stuff.
like how oil used to be used. Well, we have
Yep.
this new technology. Let's integrate it in what we already have, which also shows that for a period at least, they had a really great deal of reverence for this place because they didn't just abandon it. They integrated it, and then as time went by, then they eventually let it
It
go,
looks-
let the old ways go, I guess, as they jumped into
It looks almost
the ether.
forgotten about too because of the wear and tear on
Yeah,
it.
For
So,
sure.
oh no, it's fun. This is going to be a very, very fun Easter egg dungeon for us.
Oh yeah.
Right.
All right, Arcadian. This made me so
Arcadian.
goddamn happy.
Why? Because of the
Look at
cast?
him with the cats.
Yeah, because it's just Brute Bomber with the cats. I'm like, perfect. That's exactly what I want.
Look at the sisters in the background being so excited too. I love dumb himbo wrestling Grinawat with the kitties. It makes me happy.
I agree. And as soon as it was, as soon as he spoke, and I was like, oh my god, it's Grinawat, I fell in love with him. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm such a big Grinawat fan.
He's just as iconic if you spend too much time raiding like I do because like he's the one that you end up quoting the most if you go through the raid tier as well. He's just fun. I'm glad that we get to like see the competitors after the fact. I hope that continues the trend.
Boom.
And this new cat boy who is hopefully something that we'll be facing in the upcoming patch.
Oh, he'll
yes.
be the favorite.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to smack him around a little bit.
In what kind of way, though?
Yes.
Naya, calm down.
No. No, I will not calm down. Listen, I don't have a defense.
I know you don't.
Listen,
I'm listening. I'm still listening.
that's a lot of highlights for a straight man. I'm just saying. That is not the leather with the open chest. This is not the fashion of a straight man. And I'm always a proponent of more explicitly queer characters, and if they won't give them to us, I will take the opportunities that I get. Mostly because with our brute bomber, he always like. Can I be mildly NSFW for a moment?
Go ahead.
I mean, Arden does it all the time.
He opens every single fight with "I'll blow you" to smithereens, but there's always like a little bit too
Pause.
long of a gap of "I'll blow you." Right? I'm just saying we gotta have at least one himbo per tier, and I hope that this is 2 himbos on screen playing with
God.
cats.
I hope
That's my take.
I hope they become best friends. We smack the shit out of both of them,
And roommates.
and they just they just
Roommate. Okay.
hang out with cats. That's what they do.
All right,
I mean,
that's my
in a-
shtick.
I mean, in a sense, wrestling may well be the how should I put this?
It's not a straight
The-
sport.
I was going to say it's like this combination of at the same time the straightest and gayest sports. It's like it's an interesting
Yeah,
combination.
no, it's there. Yeah, it's the homo. They have the like WWE homoerotic subplot going on here, and then they're just like clueless behind the
Am I
scenes.
listening to?
I don't know. We don't have anything else to go off of the screenshot, so I just am expressing my excitement.
No, I'm
for the
good.
raid
Go
tier
with
this
that.
way, I guess.
I'm good with that. That's until it comes out. That's canon to me.
Prove me otherwise, Square Enix. This is a challenge. Or canonize it and give me a medal. I don't care.
All right. This little
you
shit.
know,
And another
You're gonna
contestant,
free me, yeah.
hopefully.
I hope so. This Lala looks arrogant, and I want to smack them around.
I love the holding of the spray paint can.
Me too. I want them to
Graffiti
graffiti.
artist.
The graffiti tagging is just so perfect for Solution 9 because there's graffiti everywhere, and it fits for me. More
So-
spotting Pototos.
There is kind of a theme going that we can kind of make the contestants analogous to jobs
Mhm.
in FF14. If you think about it, being like a graffiti artist is kind of like being a pictomancer. So I would love to have the fight against this new contestant be kind of picto mechanics, where you got to pay attention to what she's drawing
I like that.
in order to solve mechanics. Because we're used to looking at cast bars, we're used to listening for sound cues. It is very, very reasonable to have to look at the boss, like the boss's animations, to figure out what's going on. We saw that with Brute Bomber, especially. Whether or not certain animations were going, coupled with whether or not it was flashing. So I would love to have mechanics here where she's painting something. You have to
That would be really
adjust mechanics accordingly. So
Yeah.
that's
like
what I'm
that.
hoping for out of this.
graffiti by Pictomancer sounds so cool, like a concept.
Right? Like, I would love to face a boss like this. It would be very, very fun, but also, like, mechanically interesting.
cool. I agree.
But it's also going to be the hardest one in the tier because Picto's overpowered right now.
I think introducing other ways of doing the same job would be really cool.
Yeah.
Which they kind of did with Warrior on the first because the dwarves use hammers. But it would be really cool to see like different ways of executing the job. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
So I really hope that this is a Picto.
That's my bet.
I love this arena. It's so terrible.
It's disco.
Yeah, it's.
BDR mechanics are happening, right?
I really, really want
Catch me on the dance floor.
a dance like I don't know how to describe it other than like old school WoW raid from like Wrath of the Lich King, where you could do it forever if you did the dance. And you could beat it with 2 people if you did the dance. But if you screw up once, you're dead.
I also wonder if the outline of the person we have in the background is another competitor, because we did see that kind of with Honeybee's arena, because she was an idol, right?
Right.
Like it was like her physical stage as well as her combat
So
arena.
here we clearly have wearing a jacket and is a Catman with bunny ears.
Bunny ears.
So I'm
Yep.
really hoping it's that other Catboy that we saw. That this is. His
Oh
stage.
my god. Okay, then he's definitely gay. I'm just saying. Take that bitch to the disco.
Panic at the disco.
I'm about to have a panic there.
Panic at.
For those that got it.
Oh my god. Oh, you're probably so right about that, looking at the clothes.
Yeah, the silhouette is almost identical.
Calm down, you don't want to have a panic at the disco.
Like even the sleeve, the detached sleeve where he has the leather straps and then
Yeah,
it goes back
because
into
it's
fabric.
got the open of it and the pants. This has to be him, except with bunny ears. I wonder if that's him transformed, or this is just his outfit that he transforms out of.
I hope it's
We'll find
just his
out.
outfit, and he just puts on his bunny ears, and that's phase 2.
That's funny. I can't wait for this. This is probably going to be the first fight of the tier, because we usually don't get to see the arenas for the rest
Oh yeah.
in the content. However, this is just... I can't wait. This is going to be so much fun.
I'm waiting to see what kind of mechanic those lights along the edge have, because they're off right now, but the one on the right is on. So I'm very curious to see how that plays out.
I'm also looking at the colors, and it's quite interesting the choice of colors they're using here.
Yeah, because the whole shtick with Arcadian is that, like, there are people outside of the arena. And those lights that are off, they are reused assets from Brute Bomber, his stage. Like, they have, and then, like, they were on in Honeybee. So that is, like, the staging of it, right? I would love to see the back of the arena, because that would give us a little bit more information about how the outside of the arena is going to be related, because we only saw that in M4 in the last tier. So it'll be fun. It'll be interesting.
Right.
All right, moving on. Queen Bee for the new trial series.
I love her.
Beatrix!
Yep. Queen Bee. I was hoping we would get her. I didn't want to get her like this, but I'm happy we got her at all. So
I mean,
glad-
in a sense, anything 9. If you're going to make an homage to 9, I think Beatrix is like
Sense.
you have to.
look how they massacred my girl.
I think that's the point of it, right? Is that they wouldn't actually be in here, because you can't introduce Beatrix this way. But making her a giant robot, like if the
So-
trial series is Heroes of Eld, like an Alexandrian myth, that would be fun.
That would be cool. What I think would be also interesting is if this Beatrix was an awakened Endless.
Yeah, that's a way to do it. Yeah.
Where like
I
all
also-
the heroes are in
I
the
al-
system and we have to clear the system out.
I also find cute that we have Stainer as a robot, we have Beatrix as a robot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's. I think that's the best way that they could have introduced it, because nobody wants to like beat the shit out of these like fun child cartoons. But if we've immortalized the souls into giant robots, then it's okay. It's not actually
Like
them.
if they had Beatrix as like head of security or something, and then she helps us, and then she's just a character in the game, I would have been okay with that.
Right.
This is
But
also
if we have to fight her this
fine.
way,
It's fine. Considering Sphene looked normal as a robot, this is a travesty.
The real question is, if this is how they're doing it, what are the other trials going to be? Like, just pure speculation, because there's a lot of options.
Could go with Kuja.
No, that would kill me. That would be a personal attack directly at me.
I mean, could be. I mean, I'm thinking three figures of 9 that I would say maybe. I mean, Kujek is kind of like one of them. Maybe Garland too. Yeah, Garland.
They're picking Knights of Alexandria so I
Right.
don't think it would be non-Alexandrians. So if we're following on the train, we've already had like Otis as our like actual knight stand-in. This is just Beatrix, right? Like her character model as a robot. Other knights that we have, like Zidane might count towards the end of it. Freya would be a fun one because we haven't really fought a dragoon in a while.
Or Sir Fratley, her lover.
Yeah, exactly along those lines. That'd be fun.
Maybe it could be a couple fight, Freya and Fratley.
Oh, as a duo?
That would be
yeah.
cool.
Fun! Yeah, because it's been so long since we've had a duo. I like that. I want that now. I want that now. Because their whole thing at the end of 9 is they go off together to serve the world, and you don't really see them that much. And if we're taking this as like a posthumous like possibility for Alexandria, that would be fun. That'd be a good one.
Maybe Vivi. I would like Vivi as
I could never hurt
No,
Vivi.
we already got Vivi in the game.
No. Yeah, I could never hurt Vivi.
Everyone would just go in there and just die. And then leave. That would be it.
Do not harm my child.
We've got Hellskier as the new Unreal.
Susaku.
Thirsty Bird.
This is the patch of DDR, it seems like.
It is. More dancing. Now that looks like Kuja.
It's got the pants.
And Cosmic Exploration. So my initial reaction to this artwork is everyone here is dead, because they're in vacuum, but there's no vacuum in 14 apparently. So
nope, there's air on the moon too.
Yeah.
My first thought was seeing the domes from the Charlotte architecture, and I was like, I don't like this. I don't like this at all.
They're expanding.
It's not just the domes that's the it's not just the domes in Charlotte architecture which you can tie to labyrinthos. You find the same structures in the ATS scope, and they're domes. That's the thing. They're fucking domes. So it's like I see that shape considering where we're at in Dawntra. I'm like, please.
Here's my issue with this is I know Charlene has access to the moon. They traded for it. But Garlemald should be having a presence here. Like, they should be establishing a colony. They should be establishing some kind of expansion up here to help them down on the planet.
Well, this isn't on the moon.
I know. But I mean,
yeah.
just on the moon in general.
I mean...
And even if they were, they'd still be using Charlian like technology for it, because that's the technology that we have, which is being actively shared with them at this point.
Charlian spent all of Endwalker researching this technology. That's what the studio requests were about. So, yep, cosmic exploration. I'm very excited for this. This wasn't the most exciting part of the live letter for me, though. But
it was a lot of showing off what the communal progress would look like.
Yeah, so I'm happy about that, and I'm really happy that it's individualized. So, like, if you go to Ishgard and try and see what Ishgard was before, like if you're brand new to the game, just finish Heaven's Word, go to the Firmament, and it's all finished. After they say, "Oh yeah, the Firmament was destroyed," just kidding, it's already done. You missed out on it. But this way, people coming into this for the first time will get to see it at its inception, and you get to go along with the journey. And you're not just, here's the last planet, wasn't that fun? So I'm happy that they're doing that this way.
You're happy that you're invading other planets.
Yes.
You're a planet conqueror. I get it.
I also want to note the only like lore stuff we got out of it, because a lot of it was just gameplay screenshots, right? Is that they're specifically using the language of star and not shard, which I think is also good, so that we can kind of learn more about our current reality.
Yep, agreed. I
my opinions on the matter is, considering the fact that a big theme of Dawn Trail is deception, and this is content released in Dawn Trail period, how much of these stars are actually real stars? That's what I got like at the front of my mind. It seems like this sounds like too much of a discovery, quote unquote, to be something left to cosmic exploration. So what I got in my head is how much of this is actually true.
I want to see how many stars we go to where there was an extinction event because of media.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. And I also feel like that conversation is more of the what's a planet versus an asteroid thing.
Yeah.
So I look forward to that being kind of figured out. Because here we do see something in the sky that does not look like Aetheris as well.
Yeah.
So it'll be
interesting
to learn more about the actual astrophysics of 14.
I am very excited to dig into that. That's what I'm excited for. I want to know more about the universe and how the world of 14 is kind of built in the cosmic sense.
Right, because this is more of like a physics conversation. Sent in chat pointed out like the difference between a planet and an asteroid is typically size, composition, and density, but that isn't always true because a lot of it is also defined by what it orbits and stuff. Because we have moons that would be planets if they were orbiting a star, but they're not. Versus what is something big enough to be considered a planet, because Pluto, like a lot of people complain it's no longer a planet, but like it is smaller than like asteroids in the asteroid belt. It shouldn't have been qualified in the first place.
Right.
But with
It's
14 there's an added layer of, is there a life stream here? How does that impact it? What do star systems look like? Is Eorzea flat? Like things like that. I'm gonna keep bringing that joke up. To be clear, it is a joke, but I do like it. So
I learned the solar system with Pluto in it. I'm going to stay including Pluto to the end of my days.
That is fine, but there's a reason it was declassified, because if it like remained classified, there would be like 600 other planets that should have been classified, and it just doesn't work like that.
So I wanted to put this screenshot up, and I'm sure I see Pixel Pebbles in the chat. And I want to know more about that coloration in the rock face off to the left. But I took one look at this, and my immediate reaction was like, the Warrior of Light saw this, and they went, "Why is it empty?" So
because we're paving
we're
paving the way for a McDonald's. We need to pave the way for a Big Lots.
Yes.
We need to put a
we
need to put a car dealership over there.
I do have one very, very big issue with cosmic exploration, though. It is the empty. Which is, we had just talked about how there's air on the moon, right? There's not a vacuum in 14. Like, vacuum doesn't exist, apparently. So, I'm just going to run through this. If we get a buggy. I'm so excited about that. But if we look at the base structure, it doesn't look like something you would build in an atmosphere. And that kind of bothers me a lot. Like, if you look at the tubes, the airlock, like, why do you have an airlock if there's air?
I also want to point out the aetherite here, because it is a rainbow crystal, and where we have seen that before is with Eden. Right, and the whole premise of that crystal now being rainbow is you've now gathered the etheric elements so that you can like terraform the area and restore it, right? Yep. So I wonder if you're kind of doing the same here, where you're trying to bring life to the land using that concept with the crystal.
Yeah, absolutely. I like the little zip lines; those are pretty cool. But it just bothered me that there's a lot of vacuum style architecture here in a place there's no
That's a good
vacuum.
point. They have some questions to answer, and it's
Yeah.
if they picked it just for aesthetic reasons, I get it because of the landscape, but also it's frustrating when they're clearly trying to build something that they want to expand on. So,
Right. Yeah, like this right here just drives me nuts. Like, I get it. They at least have the sides opened and it's not single access point. But man, why do you have to build a tube? Because if you're building a tube, it's because, circle's strongest shape. And it distributes the vacuum pressure evenly. But if there's no vacuum, you can just build a cube and be fine.
questions that will hopefully be answered.
Yeah, I hope so.
Are they building like a pipeline or of sorts?
No,
Gotta
it's
get
straight-
that oil.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And this has the little cosmic exploration logo. I'm assuming this is like the Charlian Space Agency or something.
No,
my God.
really. I was asking because poking a bit NAS's 11 brain, but doesn't are not the cracks in 11 united by some sort of pipeline?
They are, but that's a different kind of architecture that we see inside of
Right.
this is very clearly like modeled after real life space stuff, which is the point that we're making with the airlocks. If there's an atmosphere, that's the only reason that stuff is designed that way, especially because a lot of these modular components, they're built out upon as you can pressurize the area
Right.
to not do it all at once.
Yeah.
Right.
You are right, though.
Yeah.
The Crags were built as like an underground kind of conduit for crystal and soul energy, but it looks more like a human spine than anything else.
Right.
Huh.
No, I was thinking mostly about concepts rather than the design, but
Right, yeah, but it's different things in this context.
I love that we've traded in our bazooka for a mech. This is just amazing to me. And I don't care if it's a mining laser, like we get to shoot a laser. But it does bother me, again, the open cockpit. Once again, reinforcing that there's no vacuum here. And it's not just us. Like, literally anyone can just go to the moon and be fine. This
I need
is
all the
something
mechs in
I'm
this game.
probably super excited about. I want my Meteor Star Trek uniform.
The
and
pose
just
here is killing me.
to hang out with my coffee, with my freeze-dried food, and just contemplate life.
I hope it's dyeable. I'm turning this into a Stargate jacket. It better be dyeable.
It better be dyeable, and it better be the blue and the white are both channels that you can dye. I want that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, color coordinated specialty. So blue, some green, maybe, and then yellow and red. And then we're good.
Beam me up, living way.
There it is.
There's-
Beam me up, living way.
There's probably a beaming way. Like, this is Beaming
God, I
Way's
hope so.
workplace. All
They-
Beaming Way does is beam people up.
There have already been so many Star Trek jokes in this game. Like, this is only going to
It's
make
time.
it worse. Yeah.
Yeah, it's time. Because that is what this is.
Yeah. So, very excited
Or-
for this. I'm excited the crawler
the
is so big.
Stargate
I
rings,
hope that's a
honestly,
mount we
but-
get.
Yeah.
But-
I mean, it should be at this point.
Yeah. And I love, the complete and utter lack of space-worthy attire here. It's like, I'm wearing an ascot and gloves. Good enough. Let's go to the moon. Miles O'Brien is the most important person in Starfleet history. That's achieving way. You know what? I want the head Loperate for this project to just be called Chief. Chiefing Way. And the Occult Crescent. This I'm actually ridiculously excited for.
I'm gonna live in this
Oh, yeah.
for a good long while.
For sure. This looks like a ton of fun.
Way.
And Janeway. Oh my
Sorry,
god. Zens.
that's the one to do.
That's the one.
That's it.
Yeah.
We've solved it.
This is obviously our little home base. I really like how this looks. And
I do too.
it reminds me of Nimian architecture a lot.
It should, because this is where we get later in. You can see in the background that is Nemean.
Yeah,
100%.
100%. That's
What
Wanderer's
the hell
Folly.
is
On the
that?
ground.
What the hell is that like sphere-like thing in the sky? Though?
Oh, the sky's
There's
fake.
like
Those are-
spheres in this.
They
That's-
asked
that's
they asked
your,
that in the live
that's your-
letter too.
Protection bubble.
They asked
had-
that in the live letter too. They were like, "What? What is this bubble?"
Yeah, like you can see the borderline of it at the
So
There's
the
a ton
occult
of them.
crescent is right off the shore line, and it's it makes me wonder, where did Nim go?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And how
They had a much
far was its reach?
they had a much further reach than previously anticipated.
Yeah, and they were a maritime nation, I believe.
They were.
Something worth pointing out here in the bubbles is the way that they warp the space around them, but it's not consistent. Because the one in the foreground on the right, you can see that the clouds are magnified
Yeah.
at the top, but reduced at the bottom,
Mhm.
versus the one that's further away just above the arch in the middle of the screen. It doesn't look like it's distorting the clouds as much on the sides as it is in the middle.
Right.
So there is like an idea of difference of perception.
Mhm.
So is it like a bubble of water? Is it a pocket of air?
Yeah.
Do
would
they move?
say-
Or are
don't
they
know.
stagnant?
I think they move. I
Mhm.
think there'll be like ripples in water, but in the air. That's
I
kind of
look
the
forward to
impression I
seeing
get.
it.
Yeah.
I want to see how it's animated.
There's more. And again, you see that blue haze that
Yeah.
kind of lives there.
It's pretty. This is
Yeah.
going to be a lot of fun.
I'm very much looking forward to this because this means we're gonna get more Fifth Era stuff.
Yep.
It really
So
does
I'm-
look Nimian, yeah.
Yeah, very excited. This is just pretty.
It's going to be like straight up fun to explore too. I
Yeah.
think because Boja was great story content, but it was very monotonous to play
Mhm.
through because it did just have the same kind of grayscale
Right.
visual to everything. And like we enjoy good story here, but it does kind of get frustrating to just constantly have Garlean architecture
Mm-hmm.
as like the backdrop fighting enemies. This has the capacity to be a little bit more versatile, like the
Yeah.
Baldesian Arsenal was.
And it's something completely new, which I'm very excited about. Exploration fraught with danger. This poor Warrior of Light's trying to solo something here, which means they're probably going to get themselves killed.
And they introduced the
Brachiosaur's back.
sub-job system.
Yes. So look at all the jobs that
Oh my fucking god,
Living Flame is
it's
back.
a dinosaur.
Living liquid but
What
fire.
the-
Genru back. Let's see. Yeah.
Just
the-
lots of
lots of cool
iconic
stuff.
and fun enemies. I love that they were like, there's no lions in Fru,
Yeah.
but you will have to deal with the statues
Right.
in later content.
Let's see. This is the requirements to get in. And then the jobs. So here's a list of the jobs that we will never get in 14 because they are relegated
So what
to
they're
here.
doing here. So go back.
So-
go back.
I
Go back
can't.
2 slides.
I can't. I closed it.
Oh my god. So what they're doing here is essentially the Final Fantasy V job system, where you start out as a freelancer, and then you pick a job.
hmm
So your main job that you're on, they give an example of warrior, and then let's say you pick monk. You'll, instead of gaining logos actions, you'll gain abilities. So you'll be like a monk or a warrior monk, or if let's say you pick bard, you'll be a warrior bard. Same goes with all of these. My idea is, and what they mentioned in the live letter, let me go back to it because
So I really like this system because this in Boja and Eureka, you level up once and you're done, and you're stuck there grinding. But at least here, like, you get through it. Okay, you're on the next tier of whatever it is you're working on, and you can level another job up. But at the same time, you're working on your end game quest. So this makes
So,
me
yeah,
really happy to see.
You will not be able to level up jobs in here. You have to be level 100 to get in here.
Yeah,
They
but I
said
mean,
that.
like, these jobs.
These right. So Yoshida said, Final Fantasy XIV is an MMO after all. So looking into the future, we want to implement new jobs in 8.0 and beyond. But for some players, there are obviously jobs in past Final Fantasy series that they have a lot of memories with. Tactics Advance. But unfortunately, some of those jobs simply wouldn't fit the concept of Final Fantasy as an MMO. Time Mage is an example. But we did think maybe in this sort of content as a phantom support job, maybe we can go crazy with it. So while there's a small chance some of these jobs might make it into the game in the future, I was also told players know and say to don't trust Yoshi P. So take that as you will.
Yeah.
There is a chance that these jobs can be added later, but what I'm thinking is that in this sort of content, in this instance, they can try out and play around with these types of jobs for now.
Agreed.
While
Yeah,
they
it was my first
figure things
thought.
out.
Really, I was like, this feels like a testing field for new jobs for
Yeah.
this
them.
is it's a really good idea.
And I know that this is not all of them, and I really hope there's a Necromancer one.
It'll be fun to see if they add more, like, as different areas come out, like, oh, here's 3 more in the next region.
Right.
And
Now-
stuff like that. And that's a fun way to do different variations of
Yeah.
jobs, right?
Here's-
Because a berserker is like a version of a warrior, ranger's like a version of a bard. It's a way to bring this back a little. I think
But
this was a cute idea.
Here's my question. Are we going to get artifact armor sets for these? Like one-time sets? Because I would level
Oh, if they
Berserker
do it like
so
Eureka?
fast. Yeah, I would level
Well,
Berserker
we'll
so
find
fast.
out. One way to find out. They haven't commented on that at all.
Yep.
So, but that would be a very, very fun feature for them to add.
Yeah.
But
So
right
again,
now, in
same as
in
in
this-
Shadowbringers, they have 2 methods of leveling up your relic weapon.
Yes, it's literally just going to be Shadowbringers all over again. You can do
Yep.
it through probably just the Alliance raids and dungeons, or you can go into the Occult Crescent. I doubt that they're going to be doing the memories all over again.
That was a
That
pain.
one sucked so
I
bad.
hated that. I did it, but I hated it.
The implication here is that you will still have to do the story of the Occult Crescent in order to progress, but you don't have to constantly be grinding out items in there. You'll be able to get the items elsewhere as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you're not.
But
you
you'll
don't
still have to
do
do the
it.
story in order to
Yeah.
progress. Yeah, you just don't have to spend every waking there.
I will.
That's
And we're almost to the end. Here we have March 7th, guest appearing. And
Yay, you
it's
could be an influencer.
Yeah, so we have an Instax collab with the the Hide the Pain Mikote. I'm sorry, just like I look at this and I'm just like, that is the most pained smile I've ever seen in this game.
It's not even a digital camera. It's one of those like printable
Yeah, Polaroids.
photos.
But
Yeah.
like,
This made me so happy because I don't know if you remember this, Cobb, but for FanFest, the year that I went,
Yeah.
I had an Instax camera, and that was how I was documenting the event. So I have like a scrapbook of Polaroids
that's awesome.
of like meeting static mates for the first time. I have like really aesthetic pictures of the stages, the set pieces, and all
Oh,
that.
awesome.
So this is a really cute collab because I was like, oh, I remember that I did that, and I got out my little notebook and like went through all of my FanFest goodies. It was really, really cute.
So, I know why this is happening. So I want to tangent onto why the Mikote is hide the painting. Like, someone told her to smile, but she's in Ilmeg. And the fairies are gonna turn her into a bush person. She knows she's not gonna make it. So she's like, please save me. I got a big one. It's just
That's her milk carton face.
Please
She's
help
been
me.
missing for She's been
help.
missing for weeks.
I
Last known
also want
photo.
to point out like her right pupil is huge and her left pupil is very, very small.
What happens
she's
when
not
you
okay.
smile? It's the photo's never taken at the opportune time, right? Someone always blinks.
Small
this is a cute
indie
collab.
studio.
Yeah. No, I'm excited for this collab. Now my question is, can you dye the camera?
No.
That would implementing a whole new system. Probably not, unless they do it like the light sticks, where like there's a different camera pose with different colored cameras at different
that would be
times.
awesome. I would
Because
love
part
that.
of Instax's marketing is there is different colored cameras, and
Yeah.
some of them have perks. So maybe it's like a series of 3 emotes. Different colors do different things, or it's just this. In which case, it's still cute.
I would say taking a picture of someone else, taking a selfie, and then I don't know
Let me
the
take a
third one.
selfie.
Yeah, you can dye weapons, but that's not the same thing as dyeing an emote.
Yeah,
It's like functionally different.
right. Let's see. I think. Ah, yes. All right, go.
Hey, it's so convenient that I'm releasing a new updated guide for 2025, making it easier than ever to install Final Fantasy XI, and Final Fantasy's dev studios making it easier than ever to buy the game. If you have an active 14 account, you'll get a free trial, and you'll get a discount off your first paid month. Updated guide released next week. Please join me in Vanadil. It's very fun. I play on the Bismarck server. If you say hi, I'll give you a treat.
That was good.
I like it. I also like how they have the 2 characters from the 11 raids, and then the Warrior of Light in the Vermilion coat.
Yeah, can we zoom in on that for a second? Because this did make me cry a little bit. The art that we got.
Oh yeah,
So
Prish.
it has been roughly like 15 years since we've gotten official art from the early game, because they didn't really do a lot of concept art. Last year, at the start of last year, we got the first art of Aeldenarsh and Comlanot, like as part of a merch drop that Nomura just was like, hey, here's new art that I drew. That's the first time that we had new art of them in over 2 decades. This is the first official art that we've had posted of Prish in roughly that time span as well. It just makes me happy. Look how happy she is.
She's very happy.
So this is a little bit of like a piece of history that 11 is not just like barely hanging on, but it's thriving. And it's worth signing up and experiencing it for yourself.
Yeah.
And what kind of treat? I'll give you a rock from my inventory, because the canon for my 11 character is that she will pick up every rock that she sees. And some of them are very rare, and some of them are just regular-ass pebbles.
Yep.
But I'll give you a rock. It might be worth several million gil, or it might be worth literally nothing and you have to trash it. But I will give you a rock. Yes,
Or you have
Pebble,
to, or you have to pay for the rock.
Yeah. Or I'll give you a crystal. And crystals help you in the early game because you can trade them to the city-states for ranking. So I will give you some sort of a rock if you find me. We'll be best friends.
Is that the Warrior of Light in the red
Yes.
hoodie thing? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about in the
okay.
Vermilion.
Yeah,
coat.
that's the Vermilion cloak is one of the most iconic. Like, you get this in
Yeah.
the early game, and it's good for a lot of jobs. It is a mandatory item
Okay.
for later quests because you have to dress fancy to go into certain palaces. So you
Okay.
actually have to equip it. So that's your player character in 11. That could be you. That's like the promo that's like your face here. That could be you.
So we got one more
I'm
slide.
going to make a note on that. A note on that.
The Black Milk collaboration. Can I just say, the first 3 I really like, and then you have this baggy ass shirt at the end. I'm like, do better.
I want to get stuff from this so bad, but I can't justify it right
Yeah,
now.
It's so expensive.
Yeah, but it's like it's really cute. It's high quality.
Mhm.
If you missed the live letter, Yoshi P put on one of the dresses, which was very wholesome.
Which, yes, and it made me really, really wish that they had a trench coat for guys. Like, I want
Yeah,
that.
but
That
it's
would be
honestly, you could use that dress as a trench coat. All you'd have to do is like cinch the back instead of tying it in the front, and it would
Mhm.
look very nice.
Yeah.
So
I would actually wear the trench coat more than a dress. I have something against putting a dress on myself, and besides, it wouldn't fit me. So
I'm in the same boat. I don't like dresses, but like the Eorzea map ones, I wanted the pants and the Cactuar crop top, but it's a little pricey for me.
Well, and that does it for the live letter. That's pretty much everything. So, a lot to look forward to. A lot of things coming in 7.2. So, exciting times are ahead.
I'm excited. I can't wait for Arcadian.
Oh yeah,
I
Arcadian.
know I'm read builds,
Cosmic
but
Exploration.
also
I'm excited for a lot of it.
I can't imagine why.
point 2 is when things start getting gnarly. So there's a lot to look forward to. Yeah. They're going to, of course, they're going to blue ball again with they're going to blue ball us again with the ending of MSQ, of course. But at least we have got more content to distract ourselves.
I will say this:
with.
point 2 is usually where we get a lot of the good lore dump information. So I'm very much looking forward to that. I want my lore dumps.
I want Nicehe.
Nicey.
I am
I made that
fixated on
sound because
this.
I doubt that we're going to get much, but we're going to get closer to what we want.
Yeah.
We're gonna have
That's
fun with it
Yeah, for sure.
because the story has been great.
That about does it for today. That's the whole live letter. I also want Janeway. I want Janeway.
Nicehe and Janeway.
Come on, Kate. Come on, Kate. Give us Janeway.
What do I want? I want our moon to suddenly sprout rockets and us to go to other stars on our moon.
Oh, that would be a fun way to do it, Ayumi.
That would be hilarious, just for the impact it would have on the planet.
Listen, they've already hollowed out the moon. There's no reason they can't do it.
No, they can do it. I'm just saying the moon has a geological impact on the planet below it. And if you pull the moon away, it's going to screw a lot of things up.
If Ares has been through a despair wave, a despair nuke, I think it can be. I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, what happens to the tides? Anyway, that does it for today. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Had a great time today. Rip limbs, exactly. I don't believe we will have a show next week, but we will have a show on the 23rd. So please join us then. We will be streaming other things in the meantime. I believe Meowth and Ayumi, you're still doing Tactics Advance.
Yes.
Yes, we'll be having that next Saturday.
Awesome. And I am still doing Star Rail. So look out for that. And we will see you next time.
Have a great week,
See you next
everybody.
week.
See ya.